Yeah, hi people. So in this video, we would be talking about Promise.race function. Yeah, so Promise.rate is a static method that takes an iterable of promises as an input and return a single promise. This return promise settles with the eventual state of the first promise that settles. So Promise.race again takes a list of promises as an input, and then it resolves or returns whichever first promise that gets resolved. It could be a resolved promise or it could be a rejected promise. Whichever settles first, it will return that. Like it is different from a promise any in a way. Like promise any returns the first resolved promise, but here it can also return a rejected promise. So whichever promise settles first, it will simply return that promise. It could be a resolved promise or it could be a rejected promise. But in case of promise any, it only returns the first resolved promise. That is the basic difference between arrays and any. So if you'll see this example, in this we have three promises. One is returning after resolving after 500 milliseconds. The second one is resolving after 100 milliseconds, and the third one is and yeah, here we are just passing the list of promises to a promise.race method, and then we are console logging the output. So if I run this, I'm hoping that 2 will be printed because it is taking less time to resolve. So let's see. Let's just try to end this. If I end this, I got 2 as an output. Now we can also try that thing. Like let's suppose we can make this promise to reject. Also, as another 2 is let's just make one more promise, which is my promise 3, and I can instantly or after 10 microseconds I can reject it. So then this will be the first one, but this time I'm rejecting it. So had it been promise any, it should not have returned. Like since it is rejected one right, it should have returned just the first resolved promise. But since we are using promises, so it will return whichever promise gets settled first. So in our case, promise 3 will get settled first. It is a rejected one, so it will get returned. Since I'm having the console log on then only, that's why it might be a problem. So I can have one more console log one more console log for catching, and there also I can print my error. So I can say error dot here. Let's see. I'm just trying what will happen. I can catch it, and I'm trying to catch this. So let's see what happens if I do it like this, and I can say just console log the error to. And if I run this, I can give this message as rejected 3, and then let's see what I will get if I run this. Yeah, so you see I got error message rejected 3. So yeah, since rejected was the one which gets settled first, that's why it is returning it first. Had it been the case like it has been returned after a promise 100 and this 2 getting resolved, then again 2 will return. Like now this is the first one that which will get resolved this time also, and this time 2 will return. Let me end this again. Yeah, so in this way promise dot race function works. Yeah, so let's just take a copy of our old promise.any test file and change it to the promise is function test.test. Fine, I can delete this function for now, and then I can one by one change the test and make it adaptable for our promise.is. To start with, I can just replace this my promise.any name to promise.is. I can replace this on in all the 7 places. Now, okay, there is a typo. Now we can one by one see each test and see if we want to change something to make them pass or not. Resolved promise, fine. Which one is first? Value 1 will be first since all are taking equal time. So whichever comes first in my that micro task queue is the first one, value 1 only. So this will resolve first. That is fine. And will return the first resolved promise irrespective of some promises getting rejected. That is wrong. Like here, whichever comes first will return that. So will return the first settled promise. I can say settled promise will return the first settled promise, irrespective of it is rejected or irrespective of it is resolved or rejected. Whichever is being settled first, that will be returned. So here, as of now, though, ideally speaking, this one will resolve first, so that's why it will return. But let's just create one more test here. Like here, we'll return the first settled. In the first one, I can say since the first settled is value 1, right? That came first, so that will be the one that will give us the output. So I can say we'll return the first settled resolved promise irrespective of if next one is rejected, because next one is rejected in our case, right? And the second test I can say we'll return the first settled rejected promise irrespective of next is resolved. Irrespective of next is resolved. Here I can just change the test and I can say that like I can just make the first test reject, and here I can pass my 1, and here I can pass the value 2, right? So in the test, since this is the first one, so I'm expecting 1 to come here. Fine. Now moving to next test. Should only eject when all promises passed to it are ejected. Okay. So yeah, here also like whichever is the first should eject with the first settled rejected promise, even though all the promises passed to it are rejected. Whichever is the first rejected settled, or in this case rejected promise, will be returned. So this will return just the first one, which is the one end. Okay, so here I have made a mistake, right? Here I am doing it by await, right? So results to would be undefined here, because this is the rejected promise, right? So here I have to play with that tie catch out. I can say tie, and then I can say const result, and in the catch I can say and I can have this thing here, because here rejected, whenever promise is rejected, right, then it goes to catch. So in the catch I have to handle that. So I can say whatever we got, why not let's make these variables as var, so that they are available in the whole function instead of the block scope. So I can make this as var, and I can make the also as var, so that it is available in the whole function scope. And here I can have it as, here I can say results to, 1 second, this is result side. So here the would be my one, but the results would be undefined, like nothing is being resolved, right? So this would be my valid test. Now coming back to the next test, where we were expecting it to be there, also we have the same story. So we have declared by results and outside, that is fine, and then we are expecting results to be undefined, which is true, and it will not give us the message. It will simply return us the first thing. So we can remove this message, and we can just say whatever is the first value of the settled so now I guess it's 1, right? So I can just copy and paste that and paste it here, and that will be the value of my same. This test expecting this is same as the previous one, right? Now next comes the resolve all delayed promise. So here I can say resolve the first settled delayed promise within the list of delayed promises, right? So in this, promise 1 is taking 1000 milliseconds, promise 2 is the first settled, is all the first settled promise within the list of delayed promises, list of delayed and non-delayed promise. Like this is value 3 is a non-delayed promise, right? So we have the list of both. So here we can simply say like promise 3, since it's a value, it should be instantly resolved, and after that this promise 2 after 100 microseconds, and then this after 1000 microseconds. So promise 3 would instantly be resolved. So this is the first one that will come. So I can simply say value 3 will be the output. So this just seems correct to me. Is all the first settled promise within the list of delayed and non-delayed promise. Fine. Let's just say place all the tests with it, because with it I can selectively mark whichever I want, right? Both are supported by Jest, so I think it's fine. I think let me just run this test file and see how many are passing and how many are failing. Promise.is.test.js. Whoa, everything get passed. That is great. Just that I can see the console log. The console log after test is not allowed, so that is still fine, but everything is passing, right? I got the first data. And hi people, we will implement our own Promise.race. So implementing Promise.race function is the easiest function, because it settles immediately. It settles whatever comes first. Like if result comes first, it settles with that. If result comes first, it will settle with that. So yeah, it is easy to implement on that side. So I can say hidden function of on. I can name it as my promises. And similar to other promises, this promise says is also accepting list of promises. So I can make it accept a promises list, promises A, and then like other promises, it also returns a promise as a return output. So I can say simply return new promise. And then inside this new promise constructor, I can pass my callback, and that callback function will have two parameters. One is resolve, and other is reject. Right now, in the promise says we want to basically immediately settle the promise, irrespective of it being rejected or resolved. So, like we can simply say, I can just try to first type. Let's and for each on promises, so that I can one by one see each of the promises passed to this. I can for each, I can change this to promise, and then since I can, in this promises, I can pass a normal string or any value to, right? Like in case of, I think, some test we are doing, I think it might be the fourth test here, you see, not this one. Here in this promise here, I'm just passing promise string value as a promise in the promise list. I also want to convert this to a promise where I can use send function on it. So to basically explicitly convert all the list of objects passed to this promises there, I can use convert promise dot is all. Basically explicitly convert whatever promise is being passed to this list of promises. Then I have not yet promise, then I can wait. If it resolves immediately, then what I can do is, if I'm getting a resolution, then just resolve it immediately. And if it is getting it, let's just make it in separate line. And if it is ejecting immediately, then just eject the whole promise. It is pretty much straightforward. It seems, let's see. And once any of the promises is all ejected, then it will not. It will simply close this, simply return it, and this function will go out of call stack. So just a single output will go, whichever happens first. And this is pretty much the promises function. Just let's try to test this by using this in all of our unit tests. So I can simply replace promises with my promises, right? Now let's see whether this will pass with all my tests or not. Okay, something get failed. Let's see. I think this is a frequent. Okay, no, this is not a frequent. This test failed. Let's see what happens. And this is the third test. Will return the first settled promises with test is called. So here we are saying it will simply, it is not returning. Here we assume the like the eject would be the first one to call, right? Because but we are getting value to that is strange. Third test will return the first promise. Let me just run this follow test and see what happens. Still failed. Okay. Why? If that's the case, then I can add some delays. Will that work? With delays, I think it's working. It's calling value too. And that is why. Again, it's in a sequence order, so it's difficult to test. Do I have any rejected promise with the value? Let's make this promises as a delay one, because again, sequence is a bit dicey. We can make things based on the. So if that's the case, I can use this delay syntax. And say delay promise, and I can pass the value and delay to it, and then inside this I can simply return a new promise. And third parameter I can have so resolve whatever I will pass, it will do it in that way only. So I'm just creating a delay promise function creator. Let's see. Then I can say set timeout. I can say if it is so resolve, which is by default true, then I can just set timeout. Whatever value we are getting, whatever delay we are getting, we are passing this to resolve function. Else, if it is not to resolve, then we would be passing eject function here. Eject resolve or eject callback, right? So I can use this delay promise, I think, in all my cases. Okay, I have to do this thing for this test, which is failing it only once. So I can place this delayed promise function here, and I can now use this function to generate all of them. So I can say delayed promise. Here my value is this, delay is 100 milliseconds, and so resolve false. I don't want to resolve this. Similarly, I can have this delayed promise value is 2. It will take 500 milliseconds, or it will take 1000 milliseconds. And by default, I can say resolve is 2, right? So I don't need to pass that. And the last one is again delayed promise, and I can pass this time 500 milliseconds. So as for the time, the fastest should be the eject promise. I'm expecting the eject promise would have no need to pass value, because default value is resolve only. Fine. Let's see what happens if I end this now. Still something weird happened. Let's see. I think I did something wrong in set timer. I think my first parameter is the callback, and then there is a delay, and then at last the value comes. This would be I'm hoping this would be the case. Let's see. We'll try this. Let's see whether it will give us right output or not. So I'm saying first tell me which is my callback, which will be called when the delay is completed, it is ejected, and then what is the value you want to pass to the callback, that is a value. So let's see. Yeah, cool. So that's test pass. So yeah, this using the delay promise way is the right way, where we can actually guarantee like this would be the first ejected promise, right? Placing them linearly again, like internally, which has been used or which index has been used is a bit flaky. So making it with help of delay timeout is the right way to test this thing. So yeah, so this phase would pass, and yeah. So my promise says works for this now. Now we will try all other tests too, and see is everything passing or not. Yeah, all the tests are passing. This is this